You know, my boy. When I was young, Berlin was not one city. It was two, split in half, not by rivers or mountains, but by fear. A wall of concrete and barbed wire that grew higher every year, dividing streets, friends, families, and hearts. They called it the Berlin Wall. But to us, it was simply the wall. I was 16 when it appeared overnight, cutting through the heart of the city like a scar that would never heal. One day, I could walk to my aunt's bakery on the other side. The next day, there were soldiers, dogs, and orders to shoot. I still remember my mother standing at the window, looking across the street where her sister used to live, just 100 meters away, and realizing she would never cross again. "How can a city be split in two?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just cried quietly. In East Berlin, everything was gray. The air smelled of coal and iron. We had food, yes, but not freedom. We learned to whisper. Even walls had ears. The radio played songs approved by the government, and the newspapers printed only what they were told to. But hope always finds its way through cracks. Sometimes I would stand on the roof of our building at night, looking across the wall. I could see the lights of the West, bright, colorful, alive. They looked so close, and yet so far. It felt like staring at another world, a world I wasn't allowed to touch. And still, every night, I watched those lights and whispered to myself, someday, I'll stand there. Life in East Berlin was a strange kind of quiet. Not peace, silence. A silence filled with eyes. Everyone watched everyone. The Stasi, the secret police, had files on us all. If you spoke too freely, someone might report you. Sometimes even friends. Once, my schoolteacher disappeared. They said he had moved away, but no one ever saw him again. That was the kind of world we lived in, one where words could vanish you. But still, life went on. I became a mechanic. I married your grandmother, the bravest woman I ever knew. She used to paint secretly. Colors, bright reds, blues, and golds, hidden beneath the grayness of our little apartment. "Why paint?" I once asked her. She smiled and said, "Because someday, the world will need color again." I never forgot that, and she was right. In the late 1980 seconds, whispers began to grow louder. People in Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, they were marching, demanding freedom. We listened secretly on Western radio stations, voices filled with courage. Then came the protests in Leipzig, thousands of people holding candles, chanting, "Wir sind das Volk." We are the people. For the first time in my life, I felt the city tremble with hope instead of fear. The wall had stood for nearly 30 years, and suddenly, for the first time, it began to feel fragile. Freedom, my boy, is like water. You can dam it, block it, but eventually it will find a way through. The night the world changed, I was at home fixing an old radio. The news came through. Confused voices saying the borders were open. I didn't believe it. No one did. We'd been lied to all our lives. But then, outside, I heard shouting. Not the angry kind, joyful shouting. People were running, laughing, crying. I grabbed my coat and went out. The streets were full. Rivers of people all heading west, carrying flowers, flags, bottles of beer. I walked with them, my heart racing like I was 20 again. When we reached the wall, the guards just stood there frozen. And then, someone climbed. Then another, and another. And suddenly, the wall, that monster that divided our lives, was covered with people. People dancing on top of it. People hugging strangers. People laughing through tears. I touched the concrete, cold, rough, unyielding, and felt it tremble beneath my hand. Someone handed me a hammer. I hesitated, and then, with one swing, I struck the wall. The sound it made, clack, crack, echo, like 1,000 chains breaking all at once. I hit it again, and again, until a small piece fell into my palm. I still have it, you know, right there, on the shelf. That little gray stone is my proof that walls, no matter how tall, always fall when people stand together. That night, Berlin sang, not with bombs, not with orders, but with freedom. The next morning, the city smelled different, not of smoke or coal, but of rain and tears and beer and something else. Newness. Strangers from both sides walked the same streets, shaking hands, embracing, laughing. The wall that had kept us apart for so long was now just rubble under our feet. I remember a young girl handing out flowers to the soldiers who once guarded the checkpoints. "For peace," she said. The man took it, his eyes shining. You could tell he didn't know whether to cry or smile. I saw people carrying radios on their shoulders, playing music from both sides, east and west, blending into something new. One song echoed everywhere that day. Freedom, freedom. I walked for hours through the city that had been split my whole life, and realized something incredible. Berlin wasn't two cities anymore. It was one again. That night, I sat by the river, holding that small piece of the wall, and thought of your grandmother's paintings. All those colors she'd hidden for so long. Now the whole world was painted in them. Red for courage, blue for hope, gold for freedom, and gray? Gray was finally gone. You see, my boy, freedom doesn't arrive with noise or fire. It arrives quietly, like morning light through old curtains. That's what I want you to remember. Whenever you feel trapped or hopeless, think of that wall. Think of how solid it seemed, and how easily it crumbled when hearts beat louder than fear. Because someday, you'll face your own walls, and when you do, remember what your old grandfather told you. No wall lasts forever.